I'm just getting home from the gym, and I didn't share an update yet because not much has changed. But it's Tuesday, so that's an important day of the week because we often form our weekly low or high on either Monday or Tuesday. If you currently look, then we have our low at Monday and our current high is 2 days high at Tuesday. So it's going to be important which one we take out, which can be tell quite a lot about the rest of the week. So last videos were a lot of people showed good interest in it and they liked my view. So I'm just going to share how I incorporate these statistics into my decision making and then see what's the plan for the coming day. For Bitcoin, I will keep it short. The overall view we broke down here, and now we are since this weekend in this little range right here, below important supply, above some demand here, and then here we have important liquidity levels lower. What I'm looking at first was that we get a tap into this supply here and then show weakness, and then I was interested in shorts. But right now with the new data we can see that our current, let me zoom in, is that we have this local uptrend, and here we pushed up and we saw a seller step in at 2 o'clock Asia session. So if we look at the pivot zones, then we have the daily P1 is this candle where clearly sellers step in, and our daily P2 is hour 8. Then what I always like to do is to look at the data, because normally I would want that tap into this level, but right now because we have new data and I know that Monday and Tuesday are very important, and our Monday's low is this and our Tuesday high is now this, it would mean that if we take out our current high, that the low becomes a bit stronger and then we might actually push higher. So because my overall bias for Bitcoin is leaning a bit more towards a move lower, we can see if we, instead of going here, we might already reject here and then go lower. So then I like to see what are the levels. So we have P2, P1 is at hour 2, P2 hour 8. Let's see what the data say. Bitcoin, we are on the daily time frame. At the time, as we hour 2 and then hour 8. So let's look at just the summary to keep it simple. Moderate P1 flip risk, 32% of the days took out P1, which means that price from here moved down. In 32% of the days we would take out the high. So that's favoring, well, at least it shows that the high is not that likely to be taken out. And then here unlikely that P2 is in 97.5% of the days from new P2 after 8:40. So that means that our current P2, it's not a likely hour to put in a pivot for the day. So based on time, it shows that this high is pretty strong and that this low is not that good. Let's look at distance, because you have time statistics, when is it placed, and distance shows, according to the distance we have traveled through today, how likely is it that we take out the high or make new lows. Then moderate P1 flip risk, 31% of the days took out the P1, so that's also like 30% according to the distance, so also favoring that this high could be pretty significant. And then if we look unlikely that P2 is in, 96.5% of the days moved further, so that means that the current distance in 97.5% of the days we will make a bigger distance. So what this shows me is that according to statistics, this high is more likely to hold and this low is pretty bad. But if we zoom in, then we also have session stats. Like the session stats, here's New York, and most of the action happens during New York, and the New York Open happens in 10 minutes. So always, like, I call it the hit zone is between 12, let me put that horizontal here, 12 and 15 UTC, whereas 15 here. Oftentimes the New York session low happens within those levels, but the New York session already started earlier, so we can just look at what is our New York P1 is right now here, and our New York B2 is right there. So New York just started, we don't have much info for that yet, so we can have a bit more patience to see what happens. But if we look at the TA itself, then we can see that we had here some liquidity, and since then we started to move lower. This liquidity got all taken out, and that last part got taken out this night during the Asia session where Stellar stepped in. So this liquidity level got taken out, and then we saw a pretty aggressive move with fair value gap on the hourly time frame, which is this. Let me quickly flip. Here we have an imbalance, here we have some supply. So what I'm now looking at is that we maybe don't make a new high, but that this high right here could be the high for the week already. Because if this high holds today and we take out the Monday's low, it would mean that this becomes a weekly strong pivot, and that more downside for the week is likely. So that's one of the scenarios I'm keeping in mind. So what I'm then looking at is, if I put back the session 12 to 15 right here, then I see that the imbalance starts at this level right here, and then I want to see if we can actually, from here to here, zoom in some more, if we continue a bit higher here into the New York Open and, for example, get a spike up and then move lower and then take out this low, then I'm willing to short it, and then then you could use that session high as your invalidation, but to be more safe you can just look for a short, get a local break of structure, use a daily high as your invalidation, and then target a new weekly low, which is here, which is already a pretty good RR. But then you can even let it run towards lower targets, because if this is going to be the Tuesday high and we take out the weekly low, which at this point is then this low, then lower for the week is likely. And then we can again look at the pivot zones. Like for the daily, pivot zones is here, so that already means that the high or the low of the day often gets put in early in the day. You can see that this got put in early, this is later, so it's also a bit more likely that according to time statistic this high holds, which means that if this high holds, a move towards the lower part of the pivot zones is likely, which would already be the Monday's low. But now we can also look at the weekly stats, because if this becomes the weekly high, then on the weekly, just as on the daily, it's likely that if we get a bearish week, we will make a move towards this lower part, which is around the 100k area. So my game plan for the coming hour, 1.5 hours, is to watch what is going to happen. And if we move up here, this is an area where I'm interested in shorts. Give me a little break of structure, show weakness, show a little tap into this imbalance, and then weakness, and then I'm gonna look for shorts. Stop loss above that high, target at least new weekly lows, but can leave some runner for lower. This is of course just a pre-planning. It doesn't have to, we can also go lower. But overall, I'm now leaning towards this high holding, this weekly low getting taken out, especially since we have this liquidity here, which is looking weak. And if we zoom out, then we also have this weekend liquidity. This was put in on Saturday, and then on Sunday got taken out on Monday. But this is some weak liquidity I like to see taken out. And then we have all this low stacking up right here, which to me would be the most healthy on the higher time frame, which I also explained in the former videos, that I'm expecting a move here, then us to go down, create that weekly low early in the month, in the next week or the next 2 weeks, and then get a move higher up. So first I was expecting a move into this, which still can happen, and then also still will be interested in shorts. But with the new statistics, I wouldn't be surprised if this daily high holds. So right now I'm gonna look at the weakness right there, and then see if we get something to trade. I have also some plans for some altcoins. Same as for Sui here. I want to see a move into this supply, and then look for shorts. With this being a strong daily high, this could be a strong session high, and then expecting a move to here, but ultimately towards all these liquidity points lower. Right there, and lower, because to me this this doesn't look like a bottom to me at all. If we just raise it all, then here we have a clear downtrend, and to me this looks like just a very weak release bounce before we make a good low. At least take out this low, then maybe we form a range from here which can give us a long opportunity from the lows, something like that. But right now, if you zoom in, it doesn't look strong to me at all. So we're gonna see if we get that. The other plans I will share later, or in my Telegram, or on Twitter. But otherwise, it's gonna be too long. So let's see. Simple idea to wrap it up. Look for weakness. Let's see if this daily high holds. Look for weakness here. Get into a short. Inflation just above this high. Target new weekly lows, and probably lower levels. So that was it. If you have any questions, let me know, and let's see what we get. Remember that the price action always leads, so if we just shoot up from here, then the whole idea is invalidated, but it's just a pre-planning. If we go down from here, it's also not valid, so either it goes my way or I wait for new opportunities. So thanks for watching, and cheers.